Welcome to the Kissing Spine podcast. How nice of you to join. In this podcast, I discuss several topics around kissing spine, like what kissing spine is, the different medical treatments, the function of different body parts, functional and dysfunctional training techniques, saddle fit, and a whole lot more. All put together to help you support your horse with the kissing spine. I wish you a lot of fun listening, and if you like this podcast, make sure to become a subscriber so you won't miss any of my episodes. Welcome to a new episode of the Kissing Spine podcast, and I'm doing a visual one for the first time, so I'm super excited about that because I want people to see my face, and that would like just to get a bigger connection and people have more an idea who is behind this podcast. Well, that's me. So I'm in a different place than my usual videos because I'm in my boyfriend's house right now. They're doing reconstruction. My neighbors are doing reconstruction, and the noise in my house is just so insane that I've been lucky to be able to do the lives this week for the different courses. But to do the podcast and other videos, it's just been impossible because they're constantly drilling, and I literally used our lunch break to do the lives. So that's why I'm in a different place. My dog is playing around, so if you hear a lot of noise, that's my dog. And normally in my house, he's not really allowed to play, but here he is. He has a lot of toys. A lot of them squeak because my boyfriend thinks that's funny, to my annoyance. So if you hear some squeaking in the background, that's my dog. But welcome to this episode of the Kissing Spine podcast. And today I would like to talk to you guys about the function of the vet, because there's a lot of frustration out there about our vets, and that's a little bit of a pity because, well, let's be honest, I cannot do what a vet does. I don't have their knowledge, and I'm really happy that they're out there. I wouldn't always follow my vet's suggestion, but, he's still a professional, and I'm happy that they're there to talk to if I do want to have some medical options to support my horses. So what happens a lot with people is that they get a diagnosis from kissing spine and they're not really aware what kissing spine is all about, and then they get a recommendation from their vet how to treat the kissing spine and what the options are. It's not that they're getting a full layout, like we can go from painkillers to surgery and there is some other stuff in between. It's usually just a straight on recommendation for a treatment. Because that's what they believe is the best for that particular horse. And there's not necessarily a lot wrong with that. But if you go to another vet for a second opinion, you might get a different recommendation. And this is really confusing. And I totally understand that. And that's why I felt I want to spend some time explaining the function of the vets, how it's possible you get two different diagnoses for the same horse from two different vets. And, in general, explain a little bit more what the vet is for and what the vet is not for. So let's just talk about that two different recommendations for the same diagnose, for the same horse. And the reason behind this is because every vet has their own experience, years of experience most likely, and that experience is really valuable. But they treat more than just kissing spine. There are very few vets out there that are specialized in kissing spine and mainly do kissing spine horses. And if you have one in the area, awesome. But for a lot of people, that's not really the case. And the thing with vets is that they will recommend what they think is best. Vets have one job: getting the horse pain-free and comfortable as quickly as possible. That's what we expect of them to do. So you're like, okay, I'm going to pay my vet a lot of money and they're going to fix my problem. But the thing with kissing spine is that medical treatments alone are not going to help your horse. The thing is with kissing spine is that you need the right training and the right development of your horse in order for your horse to really heal from kissing spine. Medical treatments are just there to support your horse. So what happens a lot is that a horse gets treated with injections, for example, and then they're being brought into the same type of work as they've been doing before. But that work is not really helping that horse, because if that would be the case, the kissing spine, if born naturally, would have already been taken care of. So your training might not be as ideal for your horse as you might think. Although you might have been trying to do the best to your capabilities or whatever your trainer is letting you do, or, you've been trying to do your research and you've tried to find the right trainer. But fact is, maybe the kissing spine was already there and severe enough for your horse not to really get moving through the body. So then it would have been rather impossible to really get them going and do the right thing. But truth be told, a lot of people ask too much of young horses, don't really give them time to grow and develop, and they become hollow. They don't really move through the body. And then we expect our vets to fix that problem so we can go back to what we were doing. So the main goal is I want to get back to riding as quickly as possible. So the vet has already that expectation in the back of his mind. And then we'll try to help and treat your horse. Well, some horses are just not suitable for surgery. And a vet will tell you, this horse I cannot do surgery upon. It's too bad. Or some might say, hey, this horse is too good. Maybe you should do something else than surgery. But there's a lot between that. So what happens, for example, and then it really depends actually that what type of vet that you're having. So if you have a top sports horse veterinarian, these people are good because they fix problems. But the thing is that these type of veterinarians, and I don't want to talk down any veterinarian. I really don't. My intention of this podcast is not to say that there are bad vets out there, because that's not really the case. But what is the case is that if you have a vet that is really experienced with sports horses or race horses, these horses are meant to make money, which means that their owners want to have a quick fix. Sometimes I don't care what it costs, because what I can make out of this horse is so much more than these expenses. It's a pity, but fix the horse, because then I can make money. Because that, for a big part, is what the horse world is about, or has become. Horses have become a money-making product. So if you need to invest a couple $1,000s to get the horse surgery and then get him back on the racetrack to make money, that's what people do. So if you have a sports veterinarian, they're there to fix the problem. Their suggestion, 9 out of 10 times, will be more likely going towards surgery or injections than telling you, hey, maybe you should ride your horse differently. That's not what they're going to do. And their job is to fix the horse, okay? So that's what we want them to do. I have a problem, fix it. If you have a vet that's not really in that area, that's not really a sports vet, you might get a different recommendation. Or if you have been to a vet that's not really a sports vet and then you go to a sports vet, you will get a different recommendation. So they bring their own experience. Some veterinarians have a lot of experience with kissing spines, some don't. So they will look at the condition, do what they know, and do what feels right. And what feels right for the one doesn't feel right for the other. Hence, you get two different recommendations. All right. So veterinarians are still people. Doesn't mean that they're wrong, but it could be that you get the recommendation A from the one that doesn't really sit well with you. And then you go to number B and they do a recommendation like, hey, this feels better for me. You're a human being. You have a preference. You know your horse best. If you feel that might be the better option, then go for that. There's nothing wrong with that. No one will tell you that you made the wrong choice. And even if that's so, it shouldn't really be you shouldn't really care. Because in the end, it's your horse and you need to feel good about the decision that you make. Could be that you made the wrong decision, but if that's the case, you can look back. Hey, in that moment, I made a decision that felt good for me. With the information that I had, I think at that point in time, I made the best decision. Maybe now it turns out I should have done something else. All right, then that's the case. But at that point, you didn't know that or didn't feel right for you. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, we want best what's for our horses, and we have to be good with hooves. We need to be good with food. We need to be good with training. We need to know everything. That's hard. There's a lot of pressure on us horse owners to really do the perfect thing for our horses. Actually, doing the perfect thing, it's impossible. You can try your best, and that's it. All right? So this is why you can get two different diagnoses from two different vets. All right. Another thing is that if, how I'm going to explain this. If you have okay, let me approach it this way. So medical treatments are there to support the training, all right? And the problem is that a lot of veterinarians just haven't seen real good results with training, with rehab training. Because honestly, there are just not so many trainers out there that are actually knowing what they're doing when it comes to kissing spine. And it's not because I want to give myself a tap on the shoulder and say, hey, I know it all. No, it's just factual that there's not a lot of people that really invested and dedicated their time into learning more about kissing spine, learning more about biomechanics that are focused on kissing spine, and really learning like what is necessary to get that condition to go away. I know a lot about kissing spine, but there's a ton of stuff that I know less about, that I'm not the person to rehab that horse. If you come to me with a tendon injury, I'm not 100% the person that should help you, because there are physical therapists with lasers and training techniques that are way better at that than I am. Kissing spine, my expertise, so when it comes to the back and back issues, I'm more the person that you want to look out for. So that goes a little bit the same with vets and veterinarians. There's just a lot of people out there that don't see great results with rehab training. What they see, horses are getting injected, and then 3 months later, the owner's going to come to them and say like, oh, my horse is having the same problem again. The injections didn't work. Maybe you recognize yourself in this. If that's the case, that's okay. It's a very human reaction. And the thing with this is, and I don't mean this in any bad way, but the thing with this is that the medical treatment is there to support your training. So if you got your horse injected, your horse got more comfortable, and you went back to the same riding as you were doing before, there's a big chance that you're not really getting the results. There's a big chance that you're not really helping your horse there. And is that a bad thing? No, you just don't know any better. You cannot blame yourself for that. I cannot blame you for that. Not anyone can blame you for that. But that does mean that now you've seen this podcast or have heard this podcast, and you can make a different choice. Make sense? So this is what vets see. They get injections, and then 3 months later, they're going to come back. You didn't fix my horse. And then vets are like, okay, maybe we should just do the surgery. So if a vet has run into that problem for a few times, they're more and more likely to go towards the surgery, because they don't want to hear that they did a bad job. They don't want to have unhappy clients. So if surgery is going to give the horse more relief in the long term, and will give the owner the feeling that their horse is helped, not really weird that the vet will go towards that, right? And even with the wrong training, with uncomfortable training, with the horse not moving through the body after surgery, the chances of the kissing spine coming back are less likely. It's not impossible, but it's less likely. So you're doing something with a quick fix, but you're not truly helping your horse getting comfortable. Training does that. All right. So my mission is to create enough knowledge and send as much knowledge out there and educate people on the whole training aspect, so people know how to train and rehab their horses with the kissing spine. That is complementary to medical treatments. All right. So veterinarians get more understanding and more knowledge that actually training helps, and people are able to do that also by themselves. All right. So here's the thing with vets. Veterinarians are not trainers. I am a trainer. There are a lot of other trainers out there that are doing a good job, but they're rare though when it comes to kissing spine. But vets are not trainers. So if they come with a training schedule on how to get your horse back into a training level, that is not really their job. And if you're a vet listening or seeing this and you're like, oh, but that's what I do and I think that I'm right. Okay, cool. If you're getting results with that and you see happy horses, I'm like, consider it unsaid. But I also see a lot of veterinarians giving advice to horse owners that when it comes to training just doesn't really get results, because horse owners are not explained how to get the body moving. They're not being explained how to do an exercise to get results because it's not the expertise of a vet. So if you're getting a training plan or a training schedule or exercises from your vet, consult a trainer. Yeah, consult someone that knows body mechanics, that understands how the horse needs to move and why, that is capable of explaining that to you. Because if you find that person, put them in your pocket, pay them a lot of money, tell them how awesome they are, because these are the people that will actually teach you something. And that is worth your money. You don't need someone who's going to come over 1, 2, 3 times a week, yell in your ear what you have to do, and then the next time you're going to train, you have no idea what you have to do and why. Because then you're not learning anything. You need to find someone who's going to explain you how to do these exercises, what to look out for when it comes to these exercises, when your horse is moving through the body and when it's not, when it's really engaging that hind leg, pushing the spine up. You need to start learning to recognize that by yourself. Yeah? That's not the job of the vet. They're not trainers. All right? So I totally understand that there is a lot of frustration going on with vets. I totally understand that it's really confusing if you have 2 different recommendations and you don't really know what you have to do or what might be best for your horse. Maybe you have some conflict going on within yourself about what you feel is good and what's not. Whatever it is, try to find some clarity with it. I'm happy to help you with that. If you feel like, hey, this happened to me, I have 2 different options and I don't know what to do, maybe you have an insurance company to take into account as well, just send me a message. Send me a Facebook Messenger, Instagram. You can find me on my website through email. There's different ways to reach me. I'm totally happy to help you with that and sort your way through it all. In the rehab strategy course, of course, I also explain every medical treatment. Well, not every medical, but like the most common medical treatments and their functions. I explain body mechanics. I explain how to assess your horse so you can make the right decisions for your horse. So if you want to have the full course on that, get into the rehab strategy course and I will explain to you bit by bit what to take into account, why it's important and what to look out for, including training techniques. So that's totally there. But I hope that through this podcast, you can have a little bit more compassion for your vet. If they really made the wrong call and you're totally unhappy with what has been done and you feel that information has been lacking when your vet started to make suggestions, you can take that to your vet and explain like, hey, I would have liked this differently, because maybe your vet can learn from that. Like, see a different client experience. But you cannot really blame them for them bringing their knowledge and experience to you and try to give you the fix that you're looking for with your horse, because initially that's what a lot of people are asking for. Like, hey, my horse has this problem, fix it. They try to do that and they will advise you to the best of their knowledge and capabilities to give you that advice. That this fix is not always as sustainable for a horse with a kissing spine. That is the truth. But it's your job to get yourself educated in that level when it comes to training and what fully needs to be done. Your vet is not 100% the person to do that. He is only there to support your horse medically. All right. I hope this made sense. I hope this podcast was useful to you and really gave you more clarity about the function of the vet and what is not their job to do. What is your job? What's your trainer's job? And, figure your way a little bit through the whole journey, because that's what Kissing Spine Horse is all about. It's a journey of learning new things and getting new experiences. And yeah, sometimes that's hard. I'm not going to lie about that. There are times that it's very frustrating, but it's also eye-opening. And it's also a possibility of bringing you in a whole new way of working with your horse that you might have never imagined. For me, it was life-changing having a kissing spine horse, and I'm so happy that I had that experience, because all that knowledge and all that experience I now bring to my young horses, and the results that I'm getting with them, and the way I'm connected with them, and the way I train, and the way the riding feels. It's just, I've never experienced that in my life before, and I wouldn't have ever experienced that if I didn't have my kissing spine horse. So we can have a little bit of gratitude towards that, right? I'm really grateful that happened to me. So I hope that someday you can feel the same way about your kissing spine horse and your kissing spine journey. Again, if you have any questions about your horse specifically, just reach out to me. I'm happy to take a look with you. You can book a call, a 15-minute call, where we can have a chat. Totally fine. I'm happy to do that. If you really want to have all the information from diagnose to getting your rehab started, including more explanations about medical treatments, rehab training, body mechanics, get into the rehab strategy course. You can find it on my website. You can get it on demand. You can get it live. For now, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next time on the Kissing Spine podcast. I would like to thank you again for listening to this podcast. If you think that this podcast is interesting to someone else, please share it on social media so others can find it too. This way we can create more awareness about what the options are with a kissing spine horse.